another each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
All right. You caught me chewing ice. So this will not be a rant. I was trying to figure things out. I mean, there are some problems, and there are going to be problems with everything, right? But I really feel like we could do a better job. And part of the reason that I'm discussing this or going over it is because, and it's still probably a year out, but I'm looking at opening sober livings for the people that go through our program. And I want to do it. You know, you guys know me. I want to do things the right way. You know, what's equal for everybody. And I'm not here to put down sober livings. Sober livings have their place. They do. And so there's sober living can work if it's done correctly. Just like anything else in recovery, there's a process which we follow. And that process needs to be simple. Once we make it unsimple, it's no longer a part of recovery. Does that make sense? Because now we're throwing our own stuff into it. And then I have some people that, well, you don't know anything about sober living. You weren't. Yeah, I was in a sober living. I was in a sober living when I was 18 years old in 1989. It's called the Phoenix Concept. And we did not have these problems. We didn't have these problems. Of course, there's a lot more things that have problems around, right? Here's probably one of my biggest things, okay? And please keep an open mind on this. I have found that most managers of sober livings suck. And it's not their fault. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. Somebody set them up. All right. And because how is one person going to work with, let's say there's 7 people in the house, which is pretty low. How are they going to manage these 7 people? Okay. They haven't even done a 4-step yet. And what's happening is we give these people power and they abuse it. I have a sponsee right now who's in a sober living, and he complains about it all the time. And it's not the people living there, it's the managers. The way that I see it, like with the recovery home coming up, I really need to put a name on it. I'm not going to be the manager. I don't live there 24 hours a day. Nope. I'm going to find somebody that has time in the program, that has done the steps, sponsoring other people, right? At least 2 years of sobriety, at least. Because that tells me that you've taken enough time in your sobriety, in your recovery, to learn these things. Hi, Patricia. It's good to see you. Good evening. So I kind of feel like sober livings have gotten out of their lane. Okay. Because then they throw recovery coaching, IOP, and it's all in-house. And it's too much. Okay. In the recovery home I'm opening up, that stuff is available, but not in-house. No, it is outsourced to people that I trust. Okay. And the reason is because I'm not looking for the money. Okay. And this is kind of where I feel like we get caught. And it makes it tough. I kind of feel bad for some sober living owners because I'd say 90% of them are in it for the money. But there are some great sober livings out there that are about reintegration and doing. Aurora Sober Living is really good at that. Okay? I'm not going to tell you who's bad, but I will tell you who's good because it's just an opinion. It's just an opinion. And what happens that I'm noticing is this power struggle starts between the manager and the people living in the sober living. And when that contention starts to happen, you're going to get division. And that's when everything's going to start to fall apart inside the sober living. See, as a manager, your job is to help people, not tell them what to do. You don't get to tell them what to do. Okay. If you are a manager of a sober living, you work for those people in the house. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. If you are a manager of a sober living, okay, it is your customers are the people in the home. Like a sponsor, no. Yes, no. This would not be a sponsored thing because they're getting paid. Okay. And sponsors, we don't get paid for sponsorship, if that makes sense. So let me go into that a little bit more because that's a great question. By not telling them what to do, yeah, in a way. So a sober living manager should be a guide, just like your sponsor. Great way to say that. Thank you. It says Facebook user, so I don't know who you are, but doesn't matter. Thank you for doing that. Right. So yeah, are we guides and we all have our different ways, right? I'd be a fantastic house manager, except I'd never want to be there. So, oh, Mandy, good to see you, honey. Good to see you. And I'm not against sober livings per se, but the people running them, I do kind of have a problem with. It's about meeting other people where they are at. So if you go into sober living, you're probably newer in the program. Good chance of it. Not always that way, but there's a good chance that you're new. Okay. Well, when I'm talking to a sponsee and he's like, yeah, we just got a new manager, he's on step 1. I get anxious about that because now I know that my sponsee is not in a safe space. They're not in a safe space. Okay. And even then I'll do Zoom and there's people walking around. There's no privacy. And you have a right to privacy. Just because you're in a sober living does not mean that the tenant laws don't apply. Their job is to create a safe environment. And if the owners are not doing that job, then any contract that you have is null and void. Okay. That's the other thing. There's some contracts being sent to me, and I know contracts. I worked with contracts in fraud and banking and all sorts of stuff, and I know what verbiage to look for in there. Okay. Not only that, but I want to see what kind of restrictions there are. Maybe they're restricted because they're taking Medicaid or because they've taken some grants. Okay. And you have to follow those rules if you want the money. Right. Well, a lot of times those grants are just not conducive to what we do. So we bend the rules. Does that sound like recovery? And I'm not even talking about AA. I'm talking about, does that sound like an astute person? Okay. We're talking about your livelihood, and your home is a safe space. It needs to be a safe space. And that is up to the owners and the managers to take care of that. Kind of feel like there's all these sober livings out there, and they're just competing to get clients and trying to pull them in, which means they'll fill that bed with anybody. I thought this was for willing people. You know, and you hear things like people blaring their music until at 6 o'clock in the morning, people having their TVs on until 2 o'clock at night, that being the house manager. The other thing about house managers is go get a job. Quit thinking that your job is to run. Those are my clients. And that's what I hear managers do all the time. They're not your clients. Those clients belong to the company, and their information belongs to the company, not you in your 1 month of sobriety. Okay? Is 1 month a long time to stay sober? It is, but it is not enough time for you to learn the valuable lessons that you need to have things like kindliness, love, and patience. And patience. You think a person with 6 months of sobriety has patience? No, they don't. Here's a great way to figure out if you have enough patience. If somebody has enough patience, go take a drive with them. All right. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, and it's good to see you, honey. I'm just trying to figure things out. I'm not rant. I used to come on and rant about this stuff, and I don't do that anymore. But I do still like to have the discussion, frank discussions. Um, so my concern really is for the people that are paying to be there. And if I'm going to open up some some sober livings, then I think I need to have a better, yes, I was in a sober living, but that was 35 years ago or whatever, right? So there's things that Dion still needs to learn. So but that's why I rely on other people, right? So, and I'd have to say, there's always going to be drama. There's just going to be drama. There is. But how it gets handled is what matters, isn't it? And that's where a house manager can come in and lead by example. I kind of see this manager as probably one of the most important jobs in that scenario. If you leave a plate out, they charge you $5. I get that. They're trying to get you to motivate, but it's turned into a power struggle. Well, there was that one little dot. According to our perfectionist dreams, right? See, that just doesn't quite hit. So, and I'm not saying it happens that way all the time. I've met some people there was another gentleman who I met in a meeting, and he did have a little bit less time, but he was fantastic at it. He was one of those people that had the natural ability. Okay. But for most of us, if you want to be a sober living manager, go take a leadership class. That's what I did. I did that a few years ago. I went and took a leadership class because being a leader is something I didn't quite understand because I hadn't been one before. And being a leader is not about telling what other people to do. It's about walking through life and letting other people see it as an example. Right? So, like I've said, sober livings have their place. There is, there's some great ones out there. There are. But we got to get this manager thing under control. So I'm probably going to be reaching out to some of my friends saying, hey, why? Because maybe there's a reason that I don't know about. Well, Dion, the people just aren't there. That could be it too. Really could. I mean, what person with 5 years sobriety wants to move into a sober living home? They're out there. They're out there, right? It's about open communication. Those house meetings are imperative. They are imperative. And if you don't have the skills on how to run a meeting like that, you're going to have a hard time. Okay. So I guess I'm just going to ask if we could be a little bit more astute on it. You know what? Some great things about sober living. There's some great things about it. Activities. Activities are great at activities, man. Go join in on those. Softball league's coming up again. Last year, man, those, and I love healthy competition is good for us. It is. So the one thing that I do appreciate about sober livings is their form of outreach that way, and showing that this is a fellowship and that we can play softball sober. And we can be competitive and lose and be okay with it. Okay? That's one thing I like. And some of these owners are fantastic people, man. They are. They're really good. So just like anything, do a little bit of research, right? Yeah. So, all right. That's what I got on this one. And yeah, if you know of things that I don't know about sober living, things like that, feel free to send me information. I'm not above learning more. So, all right. Thank you everybody for being here. In about 2 hours is our 6:30 beginners big book study. We are starting the doctor's opinion. So if you need that code, just reach out to me. If you have Dion's personal Zoom meeting, that's where we have it. So I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Peace out.